Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first in this series of videos of live streams around our approach with different topics. We want to provide you with just a little bit more information where we can go into a bit more detail about one topic overall. And we're going to kick things off with the subject of eyesight and vision training. This is one that's come up is was one of the most popular topics on our channel for a really long time. It's one that's quite personal to me because I have worn glasses for quite a long period of time where I started reading about, different vision training methods and things like Bates, like a very old school training method for improving your eyesight, and discovering a community of people online that were trying this out. Tried it out myself and did in fact reduce my prescription significantly. Uh, then stopped doing the work. So it saw things get worse again, and then I'm now starting to come down on the other side. We've also helped other people with advice on reducing their glasses prescription, but more importantly, we've done a lot more work on actually improving people's visual ability as well. So if we think there's a difference between our eyesight, which is our ability to kind of see things clearly. So what you would go to a optician for, where they give you the chart and you got to read it and make sure that you can read everything correctly. And then you've got your general vision, which is actually how well your eyes can move and track objects, jump from one thing to another, see things in your periphery, and all of that. So we've kind of attacked things at Rewire from both ends. Today, we're going to be focusing more on the eyesight because that's what people are interested in specifically, it seems. Getting rid of the glasses is a good desire for a lot of people. So we're going to talk through things that we can do for that, but there's going to be some crossover. And just before we begin, though, one thing that I do have to mention is when it comes to research on this. So we're going to be talking a little bit from research, a little bit from our own personal experience with with myself and with working with other clients, as well as reports from just kind of the wider community online on things that have worked for them. Just bear in mind that although we would love to be able to say like all of this is so super well researched and conclusively proves that you can definitely improve your eyesight, that is not the case right now. And I don't know if it'll ever be the case. It's very hard for people to start funding this kind of research when it's so easy just to create glasses and give them to people. So it's much easier to run research on things that have the potential to make a lot of money, because that money can then fund more research. But it seems where we're at right now is there it's acknowledged that people do see their eyesight improve, and that can be through vision training exercises or through other things that go on over time. It's not conclusively proven that it is possible to physically train your eyesight to get better. Okay, so I'll get that out of the way right at the start. However, in the online communities of people who are doing this, there are an insane number of people who have claimed to have been able to reduce their prescriptions. I have seen a very large number of people, myself, and myself included, who have been able to see prescriptions reduced. If we've got time, I'll also talk a little bit about at the end about some of the kind of contraindications of when you're going to get your eyes tested, things that where you may think that your eyesight is improving, but actually where it may not be. So That was a little bit of a lengthy opener, but hopefully that got the point across. Um, anyway, with all that in mind, let's talk through all of the things that we need to do if we want to improve our eyesight, if we want to improve our vision. This is the process. So, number one, the first thing that we're going to need to do if we want to see our eyesight get better, actually, in the modern environment that we're in, the more important thing is to make sure that we're not making it worse beforehand. One of the reasons why so many people are needing glasses in the first place seems to be that our eyes are kind of fixed in shorter distances for vision. So shorter focal lengths. Lost the word there. Took me a while to remember it. But basically, when we grow up, especially in like cities and towns, number one, it's very hard to see stuff that's really far away unless you got a super straight road. And even then, pollution might even be getting in the way. So it's much less likely that you're able to look hundreds and hundreds of meters into the distance or even be able to see things that are, 20, 30, 40 miles away. That actually has a super calming and relaxing effect on your body, which we might talk about a little bit later. But all of those long distances are blocked out. So think of it compared to your body. If your bicep, if instead of being able to move it from all the way here to all the way here, suddenly you're restricted to this amount of movement, is very likely that your bicep is going to be a little bit more unhealthy by the end. Then let's factor in that we're using screens all the time. So actually, for the bicep example, now we can go to about here. This is the furthest thing we can see away, but most of the time we're just going between here and here. So we got our computer monitor, which for me is at like arm's length, and then I've got where I hold my phone, which is not that far away from arm's length. And most of the time, I'm just spending all of my time looking at this one, or 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 this one, with very little rest in between. And again, bring it back to the bicep because it's easier to understand. If I give you, so you've got muscles around your eyes that have to physically hold the lens in that position. If I gave you a light weight, so not even something super heavy, and I asked you to just hold your bicep right here for 8 hours a day, and then at the end of those 8 hours, then now we're going on our phone, so now we're just going to move it to here without even really giving it any kind of break at all, and then we go to sleep. You can put it wherever you like, and then next day straight away, phone, work, phone. You could imagine the bicep's going to get pretty unhealthy. Same deal with your eyes. Your eyes are capable of working a little bit harder than a lot of the other muscles in the body just because your brain prioritizes vision. But eye strain is really the biggest factor for our vision getting worse over time. And so that's going to be the first thing that we want to get rid of. So first thing that we need to be doing is making sure that we're spending time away from your phone, away from your screens. If you're working at a job where you are using one or both of those, the standard advice is that you spend 20 seconds looking at something 20 feet away every 20 minutes. So, set a timer every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away. That's just basically, the big weight that was in your bicep, you get to put it down and rest for a little bit and then pick it up after 20 seconds. That's a good start, but it's definitely not the ultimate solution. You definitely need to be doing a bit more than that if you want to avoid the full-on eye strain. And most of that advice, that is to stop you getting super, super fatigued throughout your workday. It's not necessarily in the best interest of your eyes because people know, well, you can just get glasses. You just get stronger glasses as your eyesight gets worse. We just don't want all the other health problems that are going to come with the eye strain. What I would recommend is, in addition to this, spend some time, number one, spend about 10 seconds just blinking as fast as you can. Blinking is another way. Number one, you can kind of lubricate and the eyes a little bit quicker. And every time you shut your eyes, you shut out all the visual information and you give you the muscles around your eyes a chance to chill out and relax. Blinking is just a really good way of deloading all of those muscles really, really quickly. So think of it like carrying a heavy shopping bag. You put it down for a second and pick it back up. Even though it was barely any time, you're suddenly able to carry the shopping a little bit further. Blinking is the eye's version of doing that, is just giving it a brief second so it can then get back to work again. Another one that can be really useful is just get total blackout in your eyes. Okay, so it's not just the muscles of your eyes you're trying to rest, it's the visual cortex that does all the work in the brain in producing that picture. You're trying to give that a chance to rest as well. So when you black out your eyes, close your eyes, put your palms over them, no pressure or anything like that, and just sit there for a little while, what you'll find is if your visual cortex has been working really, really hard, you're going to start seeing all these colors and hallucinations and, little shapes and blobs and stuff. I would recommend, if you're able to, if you're seeing that happen, go home and then just literally keep yourself in pure darkness until that goes away. And you might find that's impossible. You might find you're at it for an hour and it doesn't go away. Treat that as a sign that your eyes are working way, 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 way too hard. So if you're already doing vision breaks every 20 minutes, drop it down to 10 or even 5 minutes, or speak to your boss, see if you can get away from your work desk completely. That can be really great as well. But yeah, basically anything where you're not forcing your eyes to stay fixed in any one position for a long period of time is going to be the top thing that we need to be doing. So that's, I guess, the main thing for not letting your vision get any worse. If you got any questions about that, then feel free to throw them in. But let's go into now, what can we do to actually try to get things to improve? And when you look at all of the online communities that have managed to see benefits in this, the top method for improving eyesight seems to be a technique called active focus. The biggest place that you'll see this is in a forum or a website called endmyopia.com. And it's run by a guy called Jake Steiner. I'm not sure if he created the concept or the name of active focus. I'm pretty sure I've seen a few other people talking about it at the same time. But Jake seems to be the one who's kind of pushed it and popularized it. Active focus is basically just getting your eyes to try and work a little bit harder than they normally would. Okay, so I'll give you like the clinical version of what it looks like, and then we'll talk about how you can do it when you're out and about. So the standard way that you would think about active focus is put a chart on the wall. It could be like an eye chart, or it could just be a big wall of text, something that you can read. And then you're just going to walk yourself backwards until you reach the point where it's just too far to read. Okay, so you want to find the exact point where just one step further back and it's too difficult to make it out. And then you're just going to hang out there and see if you can force the muscles around the lens of the eye to just contract that little bit harder so that they can read. Okay, basically the theory is that most of your inability to see things clearly is because the muscles have got so used to just sticking into exactly one point that they're now not good at shaping themselves to other distances. So if you just stand a little bit further away than you normally would and try to focus on that, that's going to do the job. And actually, it seems that can be super, super effective for a lot of people. That is enough, just doing that one exercise. Like I said, some people do it that kind of clinical way and spend about 30 minutes just standing and staring and trying to improve their vision that way. For other people, they'll do it when they're out and about. I actually prefer this as a method because when we use our eyes and when we're trying to see stuff, it's very rare that we're just standing still. A lot of the time we're walking, either the thing we're looking at is moving or we're moving, or eyes are moving, or head's moving, something is moving. So I always find it's better if we can put ourselves in that environment. And that means you don't even need to spend any extra time on it. You just have to spend time while you're out and about throughout your day, concentrating on things, concentrating on details of things that are just outside of your visual field. So text is really great. If you live in a city, that's really easy to do. Find the smallest bit of text on everything that you can read. And then anything that you can't read, you just stare at it and just see if you can get your eyes to focus in on what it says. If you're out in the nature and stuff, you might not see so much physical writing about, but then again, just try to make out the details and things. So if you're looking at a tree, look at the bark and try and figure out, which bits are darker, which bits are lighter. Try to spot certain things in the grass. The more you're trying to hone in on the smallest possible thing you can see, the better. And over time, then you should find that the lens of the eye has just got better at doing that work. So it's got better at contracting, and you're better able to now see things that are a little bit further away. The other thing, so again, if you're interested in taking that further, we've done a video on it that you can look up on our channel. I definitely recommend looking up Jake Steiner and Myopia. There they talk about lots of different strategies. So some people have had success having loads of different sets of glasses. So they got a set of glasses that are their actual prescription that their ophthalmologist prescribed them. And then they've got some that are slightly weaker and some that are slightly weaker. Some people have even played with, if you're short-sighted, then your prescription is usually a negative number. So like a negative and 1.5 or something like that. Some people have even played with, well, what happens if I put plus contact lenses? So usually for people that are far-sighted and need help seeing close up. And so they put those contact lenses on for, 30 minutes in a day, and that forces the eye to work a little bit harder. That's all the information I'll give about that. Go to the Myopia website if you want to get more info on that. I would actually highly recommend trying to find, this can be really hard, by the way, but trying to find an eye doctor of some kind who's willing to help you on that journey. Because obviously the more intense you're going to make this, you don't want to then give yourself additional eye strain by wearing the wrong kinds of glasses for too long and things like that. So I'm just going to say that is something other people talk about, but you're going to have to, if you're going to go outside of the active focus and using your eyes to physically try to focus in on things, you might need to research it a little bit further and find other experts who are actually more confident with that kind of thing. So active focus, like I said, that's the main one that we want to be looking at. There are a number of instances that I have found when I've been working with people, as well as instances where I've noticed that just the active focus, just the trying to focus in on text, is not quite enough. And there are a couple of different reasons that this might be the case. So what seems to me to be the most common one is if your brain doesn't think that your head is stable enough on top of your neck, then it's not going to allow the lens of the eye to contract super hard. Okay. Think about it like, you could pay for the best film camera, but if you don't buy something to stabilize it, then when you walk, everything's going to be shaking around and you're not going to get a good picture anyway. So you could have just done that. You could have got the exact same effect with, a cheap phone camera. The eyes are the same. If you imagine every time you walk, if your neck was so unstable that you got like a bobble thing going on, it's very unlikely that you're going to see anything clearly anyway. And so your brain isn't going to put loads of effort into making the lens work really hard if it doesn't think the picture is going to be clear enough anyway. In short, the way that we combat that is we got to test out our balance. Okay. So put yourself in a challenging balance position, standing on one leg or 2 feet together, whatever is difficult for you. And then just see, do you have the ability? First of all, can you even stand there? If not, that's what you want to work on. Secondly, again, focus on some text and then just see, how is it focusing on the text? You go fancy, write your name with your whatever you want to do. There's a very high probability that if your vestibular system, which controls your balance, is not working so well, then you're going to see the text is going to go at random points. It's going to get clear and then it's going to blur and clear and it's going to blur. It's just going to come in and out of focus. Traditionally, what I've seen happen most often is as people bring their head down, so their eyes are going up in their skull while their head goes down. For a lot of people, they find text becomes clearer. And as their head goes up, things become more blurry. And then left and right, for a lot of people, everything's just super blurry, really, really difficult. Doesn't really matter which way around it is, but just so you know, if you test it out and that's what you notice, that's not very uncommon from what I've seen. But taking those movements and just training them really, really slowly, trying to focus on keeping that text nice and crisp and clear is going to be a good idea for you. And then in addition to that, challenging your balance at the same time. Once you can do it clearly, then next thing you're going to want to do is speed it up. And then next thing you're going to want to do after that is actually make it difficult to balance, because then your spine is going to have to work harder to keep your neck right on top of your head. The other way that you can look at this is also see what happens if you were to put some pressure. So like you're trying to push your head that way and just resist it, or pressure the other way, maybe forwards, maybe backwards, maybe diagonals. And then just see, is there any specific direction when the neck muscles contract really hard that your vision either becomes clearer or gets worse. And the ones where it becomes clearer, just note that down. It can be interesting to know. The ones where it gets worse, again, are the ones where you're going to want to be training it. But that specifically is usually the one that seems, when people say active focus isn't working for them, like they just can't get it to work at all. The text never becomes clearer. Then usually I find that it's a balance issue. Could also be a breathing issue. So actually, one of the things in the Nijmegen questionnaire, which is a questionnaire for assessing people's breathing patterns, finding out if they might be hyperventilating, like chronically hyperventilating throughout their day. One of the questions on that is, does your vision often become blurry? And part of the reason for that is just basically when there's not enough fuel available to the brain, vision takes up about 50% of all the neurons in your brain. So that's quite a lot of energy. So one of the ways the brain can conserve energy is the same way that your broadband speed does, by just making the visual picture look a little bit worse for a little while. So what you might find is that the lens of your eye is perfectly capable of contracting that hard, but your brain isn't letting it happen because it's trying to save energy, and it's not actually it has no intention of producing a clear picture anyway. So it's just saying, you know what, forget about it. We don't need any more detail than what we've currently got. With breathing in mind, I would say, number one, just work on, are you breathing through your nose the entire day? That's going to be number one. Number two, can you slow your breathing down to about 6 breaths per minute? So that's a breath in and out every 10 seconds for about 30 minutes or so. If you can handle that, then you're probably up to a good standard where vision is probably going to be fine, or it's going to be easier to train your vision. If you want to go beyond that, like if you want to take that a little bit more seriously, I very strongly recommend that you check out your breathing patterns. In terms of most movement problems that people face, most psychological problems that people face, a lot of it comes down to the breathing, just because breathing changes so frequently. The way that we breathe, the amount of oxygen that we're physically able to take into our lungs, as well as the amount of oxygen we can actually get into our cells, changes a lot and can change very, very frequently. So if you're curious about improving your vision and you want to go into a lot of detail, I would highly recommend hit us up. We've got a free consultation available for anyone who's interested in working with us. We can talk through, what that might look like. But one of the big things that we can do is assess your breathing function and try and make that a little bit better, because that is kind of the third thing that can get in the way for sure. So we're going to finish up in a minute. I just wanted to throw in a couple of things about if you are trying to train your breathing to improve and become better, and you're going to go and get regular eye tests. Again, I would not recommend not going to do this. If you can get an optician, ophthalmologist, whatever, that is up and on board for you trying to go through this process of improving your vision, that would be ideal. I haven't succeeded in that. I find it really hard to find opticians who suggest anything other than glasses being the only way forward, and being convinced that your vision is just going to get worse and worse over time. So, if you can get an eye doctor that's on board with helping you, that's great. If not, I still think going for eye exams when you're serious about seeing your vision get better is better to get the actual precise numbers of how well you're doing. But just bear in mind, in terms of going to get your eyes checked out, while an optician will tell you that the result of your eye test is absolutely an accurate predictor of what your eyesight is like all the time, that is not necessarily the case. Okay, so we've already talked about how sitting down in a chair and looking at something far away is not exactly the same as looking at things when you're moving around and walking around. Your vision can actually be better, or it can be worse when you're out and about compared to when you're sitting down in the chair. And it's all got to do with all of the other circuitry in the brain and how it's integrating and reacting to your vision. But then the second big one is, if you are going to go get a test, go get tested at the same time every single time. So if you went for your first eye test at 10 a.m., all your other eye tests are going to be at 10 a.m. If you were due to do one next week and they've only got later in the afternoon, that's no good. Your eyes are going to fatigue throughout the day. And so if you go at 10 a.m. the first time, then you go at 5 p.m. the next time, very good chance you get a worse prescription than what you should have got. So that could be when you feel like your eyesight's got better, you get told that actually it's got worse. Or, maybe it did get better, but not by as much as it should be. And then if you get prescribed a set of lenses, it's maybe not necessarily matching what you need either. On the other side of things, you might do it the other way around. And so you go at 5 p.m., then you go at 10 a.m., and you think whatever you've been doing has been working really, really well because you got told that your eyesight has got better. But actually, it could just be exactly the same, but you had more energy available when you were awake at 10 a.m., so you're able to see further away. So just bear in mind, vision is a pretty plastic thing. You've got a benchmark of like your eyes are usually within a particular range at any one time, but it can get better, it can get worse. So just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, so that is my 30 minutes. I'd like to just say thank you for listening. We'll have more videos like this coming. Should be on a weekly basis, but we're probably going to stop for the Christmas break after next week. So it'll be a little while before we see any more. But yeah, thanks for watching. Do get in touch. You can find us on Instagram at rewire_NPT if you'd like to set up a free consultation to discuss through any issues that you're having. If you're interested in improving your eyesight, we can talk through, things you should be focusing on, as well as how we would work with you if that was something you were interested in. So other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.